So we got some Red Wings discussion to go over. I wanted to talk about some stuff that actually did happen, and I also wanted to talk about some stuff that has not happened and that may not happen, because, you know, talking about the hypothetical negatives is always a fun thing to do. But let's start things out by talking about what is real, what is actually physical and reality-based, because we had ourselves a note from aftonbladet.se, which is, of course, a Swedish journalistic platform, because earlier this morning, Mattias Karlsson published this article, which I will leave a link to in the description. Lucas Raymond is ready to play in the World Cup with the Tre Kronor. Lucas Raymond will play for the World Hockey Championships with Team Sweden. I'm really looking forward to it, says the 23-year-old forward. This article's pretty good. It talks about how Team Sweden continues to present dream reinforcements ahead of the World Cup in Globen. Lucas Raymond has become a big Swedish favorite with his third consecutive World Championship. Last winter, the right-handed shooter from Frölunda was also praised for his play with Team Sweden in the major Four Nations tournament. It'll be a hugely fun tournament, Raymond said. Getting to wear the Swedish jersey is always special. I hope to see you there when we go for gold. Now, this isn't really that big of a deal, but I do think it is a big enough deal to go out there and talk about. Lucas Raymond, of course, coming off of just a fantastic season with the Detroit Red Wings. 80 points, he was so good, and there is so much to be excited for with Raymond when you consider the fact that he is only 23. I mean, think about the amount of guys that peak at 23. There aren't many. Usually hockey players just tend to get better. So for Lucas Raymond, this of course has been a fantastic season for him, and now playing with Team Sweden alongside of Simon Edvinsson. Hey, I don't know about you, but I think this team is starting to look pretty good. We all recognize that some of the top dogs of the World Championship squads don't necessarily look as good as they could. Like, the Four Nations tournament rosters, I feel, may have been the best versions of Team Canada and Team USA that we might see for a while, at least until next year's Olympics, which I guess is not actually a while. But count how many times Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and all these other top-tier guys have been on the same World Championship team together. It doesn't happen often. So for Team Sweden, this roster looking as good as it does, I mean, the article says it at the beginning, Team Sweden is adding a dream reinforcement. They have a bunch of dream reinforcements. If you go over to the team itself, you'll see a number of notable names, including Mika Zibanejad, Philip Forsberg, Leo Carlsson, Mikael Backlund, Rasmus Andersson, William Eklund, Samuel Ersson, Elias Lindholm, Adam Larsson, Marcus Pettersson, Isaac Lundestrom, Alexander Wenberg, Simon Edvinsson, and Arvid Soderblom. So yeah, Elmer Soderblom's brother made it as the goaltender. That's going to be nice to see there. But ultimately, there are a number of really good names on this Swedish squad. I can't speak for everybody, but I think for Lucas Raymond, it would be fair to say that, yeah, he might be a little bit ticked off with the Red Wings not being able to qualify for the playoffs. We already made a few videos talking about Red Wings captain Dylan Larkin and his frustration with the management in Detroit not adding on any extra guys. Lucas Raymond, who knows if he is sharing that same frustration? It could be very well possible. I don't doubt that for somebody that is as good and as competitive as Lucas Raymond, he probably does want to get more of that playoff action, which he has never seen in his NHL career before. So being able to get that competitive edge back in his game alongside some pretty good players on Team Sweden, this is going to allow him to capitalize on the momentum he had at the Four Nations. He had 3 assists in 3 games played. Last year for Team Sweden, he had 9 points in 10 games in the World Championships, so who knows if he's going to be able to best out that metric. There's no reason to believe that Raymond's not going to be given all the opportunities, top power play, top line, etc., etc. There's a decent chance that he's given all this and more, and who knows, depending on if the Toronto Maple Leafs blow their series against Ottawa, William Nylander could potentially suit up with that team too. But, I mean, it's 3-1. Is that really realistic at this point? I'd probably say not. But honestly, let's go back over onto the Wings here, because we did allude to this earlier in this video, but Whether or not Lucas Raymond feels the same frustration with his own team and his management's lack of additional reinforcing during the trade deadline period, that remains to be seen. However, it was talked about that one Dylan Larkin was upset about that, and we made a video about how he essentially called out Stevie Y for not adding any extra guys. Well, now, there have been conversations as to whether or not Dylan Larkin could even get traded. Yeah, that's right. This was talked about on Detroit Hockey Now by Bob Duff earlier this morning. Relax. The Red Wings are not trading Larkin. The article talks about the context here. Essentially, this all stemmed from the quote uttered by Red Wings captain Larkin during the club's locker room cleanout day. The captain willingly acknowledged that there was a letdown when the team didn't do more at the trade deadline to help with the playoff drive. Quickly, though, the clickbait sites pounced. Suddenly, Larkin was at odds with Red Wings GM Stevie Y. The next thing you know, Larkin trade stories began emerging. Some quasi-legitimate sites even decided to pick up the ball and run with these unfounded rumors. Everyone needs to just stop and take a breath because it ain't happening. The Red Wings aren't trading Larkin. Am I guilty of doing that? I could be. Honestly, I make so many videos that I kind of forget what we talk about sometimes. But I wouldn't put it past a whole bunch of other people who write stuff and make videos on stuff online to start discussing the idea of a Dylan Larkin trade. Because where there's frustration, there could be change, and whether or not Dylan Larkin's frustration would lead to him eventually leaving Detroit before his contract expires, that remains to be seen, although Bob Duff's very strong opinion here is that it's not going to happen. For starters, Duff writes, the captain has a complete no-movement clause in his contract that runs through 2027-2028. And if the Wings were thinking of dealing Larkin, the time to move him would have been before deciding to ink him to an 8-year, $69.6 million contract. Larkin is also the face of the Red Wings franchise. You think this slump has been hard on you? Consider how hard it's been on Larkin. Yeah, it's been difficult, he frankly admits. I mean, it's probably something I think about a lot. I think about it every day, for a long time during days, and just bounce back and forth. But that doesn't do you any good. You gotta go out there and play and win hockey games. And we came up about 5 or 6 wins short this year. The article then goes over some other comments where Larkin wants to fight through the pain and embrace the opportunity. I do take it hard, and I want to get this team to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And not just get into the playoffs, but win a Stanley Cup. That's the ultimate goal here. It's not just making the playoffs, but winning the Stanley Cup. And we have a lot of work to do all over the board here for us to become champions. So, I'm not going to necessarily say that comments like that fully sell it home that, yeah, he's never going to leave. He's not going to get traded. He's not going to get frustrated enough to the point that he wants out. I mean, it's good that he has that passion. It's fantastic to see out of a captain like Dylan Larkin. But as other folks have been bringing up as well, you do need your leaders to step up. And when it comes to embracing that opportunity, being the driving force in the change of your hockey team's fortune, Larkin just wasn't that after the Four Nations. He was not as good. And there could be a debate as to whether or not that happens to do with the Four Nations itself. Like, hey, Larkin was surrounded in this environment with competitive guys that were all really good, and they made the gold medal game, but the championship game and the intensity was all there. That's a taste of hockey that Larkin has never tasted in 10 years. So, heading back over to Detroit, is there a potential for him to become a little bit, for lack of a better word, let's just say depressed with his own team? Like, oh man, I just played all these fantastic, hyped up, crazy games with Team USA, and now I'm back here in Detroit, and we suck. Like, we're not winning anything, and I'm feeling bummed out for being here for so long and not having anything to my name. There's a realistic human element to that thought process that I don't think we should dismiss. But at the same time, it is true that Larkin is embracing that role and wanting to lead this team into the promised land. So, does that guarantee that he's not going to get traded? I'm not going to say absolutely it does, but, the article that we pulled and read from Bob Duff is going to have that argument in it. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go out there and dive into it yourself more, alongside of the Raymond article too on the Afton Bladet website. But for now, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Lucas Raymond joining over to Team Sweden, as well as Dylan Larkin, and whether or not he could, would, or should prefer to get traded? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.